Hey, my name is John and I'm about ready to jump in on a pretty big project. I'm going to build an expedition camper. Well, I started looking around on the internet and kind of fell in love with the Unimog. Now, I've had a lot of Unimogs in the past, much smaller, the older 404 units that I've used in my tour business, but I really understand the mechanics and how these things are put together, and I thought if I'm building an expedition camper, that's the one I'm going to need to go with. So I was able to find this U500 at, we'll say, discount prices. Then I need to start turning it into a camper. So what I've done is I have gone ahead and got myself this box here. It's made by a company called Gerstner, and they are military surplus boxes. And I picked it up at governmentliquidators.com. It seems to be in reasonable shape. It's got a few dings and dents on it, but for the most part it's all there. First step with this, I'm going to take it down, get it sandblasted, and get it ready to become my expedition camper. Okay, so here is that box. Had it sandblasted, seemed to come out pretty good. It exposed a little bit of Bondo here and there. There are a couple of dents in it, nothing big. You know, if I run my hand through this one here, it's probably a little better than 1/8 of an inch. Got a couple little dingers here and there, but for the most part, it's all there. On my way back from the sandblasters, went to Home Depot, and I bought a kind of a hodgepodge of some cabinets that I'm going to think are going to work well in here. So I started the layout, and I'll show you what that looks like on the computer here. Using here just a free piece of software off the internet that's used to lay out a kitchen designs. I use this to kind of give myself an idea and fit things in, but bed in the back, little kitchen area, should work out just fine. When it comes to acquiring all of the bits and pieces, I've been finding a lot of luck searching around on eBay. Doors, windows, roof sealer, air conditioning, the appliances, and so much more. So that's what I've been using. You can see yesterday I got the door plopped in the hole, cut that out. It's a double-walled aluminum laminated side panels they've got on here, so you got to cut through both layers simultaneously. It's about 2 inches thick, pretty well insulated, should work out perfect. And you can see here I'm marking off one of my first storage lockers. That one will actually be under the bed inside. And that gives me all sorts of storage under there that's accessible from the outside of the vehicle. And moving forward, I'm going to jump in there, cut this hole, and get that next piece of the puzzle checked off the list. All right, so what I've been finding, it's probably a little easier to just cut round holes in these corners, and then I have the straight cuts to do after that. Kind of tends making those lines parallel each other a little bit better, because if I were to use something like a Sawzall or anything else, trying to keep this edge here nice and linear would be kind of tough. It tends to walk a little bit on the inside, so I'm just cutting 4 holes, 1 in each corner, and then I'm going to do straight cuts between those. Easier way to lop it on out. All right, now for some straight cuts. 4 corners ready to rock and roll. All right, I got a hole, big old hole. All right, first door is now in. All right, hopefully you can read lips. Well, no, that doesn't work. Well, now I've got some of the holes punched in. I didn't get them all done, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and spray the inside of this. So I'm kind of going with a really, really light green color. And anyway, hope you like it. Paint job inside has been done. It's a kind of a really, really super light green. It's going to look a lot darker in this picture, I'm thinking. Can't really tell, but anyway, got the inside painted before I start throwing the cabinetry in. Next day, next task. So here, rubberizing the roof, kind of sealed up some of the rivets and pulled off some of the old caulking. After the sandblasting, had a good aggressive surface, so spreading some liquid rubber roof, sealing it up tight. Now here we are with all of the windows and all of the doors. There's a couple of other windows on the other side of the box and another storage box just like on this side. But that is the extent of the doors and windows I'm going to put on. There's going to be a roof vent over the bathroom, and then one more, of course, where the air conditioner comes through. On the roof I'm going to be adding some roll cage as well as some solar panels. So stay tuned for that. We'll get that one going as soon as I can. It is looking a little chaotic with the cabinets and of course my empty beers sitting around inside, but it's starting to take shape. The line you see on the far wall there, that is the height of the bed, so that window on the far side is right next to my head, right next to my pillow. I can open a window, get a little breeze going through if it's a stuffy night and not running any air conditioning. Anyway, cabinets are going in. I got this nice little sofa here. Here's my bottom of my shower that's going to be in here, and got the stove top cut in there. Don't have the stove top in the morning. It's sitting over there on the ground. But there it is. It's all coming together. Microwave waiting its turn to jump in line. Lots of parts, not a lot of time. Here we go. And today's task du jour is going to be cutting some holes in the roof to throw in the air conditioner and the roof vent. So I've got a roof vent going in above the shower area, and I'll show you that real quick. I don't have it fully installed, but so I got my shower here, and you can see the rest of the box. It's coming together. Got some windows in and starting to look like something. I've got a plan for that ugly roof, and I'll share that with you when the time comes. But it's going to look great. It's going to look like a kind of whitewashed roof, wooden roof, but we'll get to that in a bit. So I bought the Coleman Cub. It's a really low profile air conditioning unit, and I'm thinking this thing's going to be tall enough on its own, but you can see I've laid out the hole to be cut, and of course taking special note not to hopefully I can point to it right there. You can see I've got the cross member roof ribs, so I'm trying to center things between those as to not have to cut through any of the structural ribs. These boxes are pretty darn well built, but let's not disturb what we don't need to. So my project today, I'm going to cut a couple holes, mount an air conditioner. All right, so looks like we officially have a hole on the roof. This is a good opportunity to show you what the material is made out of. It's like I said, 2-inch thick. It's got a foam core, and all it is sandwiched between two, it looks like about 16th inch pieces of aluminum. Makes up the construction. Makes for a good light project box. And there it is. Now you can see I also have a hole in my roof, so got to stuff an air conditioner into that, and then we'll turn that thing on. It'll be at least a little more pleasant to work in here. So anyway, we'll see you then. All right, so this is my ugly ceiling. It is all stained from years worth of moisture and whatnot in the box, and I pressure washed it and got most of it off. But anyway, to cover that ugly up, I didn't want to paint it, and I found this super cool. It's like a wallpaper that looks like wood. So when it's all said and done, we're going to have wood. This is my assistant, Mel. She doesn't like to be videotaped, so I'm only at the end of her nose.
Thank you.
Just got her nose right there. Perfect. Anyway, so she's helped me put this stuff up. Use a little spray adhesive. It's going pretty well. All right then. Well, the roof is starting to come together. Got a couple of the rows up. Put some cabinets back in just to see how well they contrasted. Starting to look pretty good. We're getting it there. Anyway, that is my wallpaper simulated wood roof. Okay, I got my ceiling all up, and I'm happy with it. Cabinets there in the back. I've got more cabinets to hang. There's going to be some go above this countertop here, and then some up here above the ceiling, or above the sink and stove. So you can see here, I've drilled some 3/8 inch holes. I'm going to put some thread inserts into those, and that's what I'm going to hang the cabinets off of. Thread inserts. Gotta love them. Make life easy. So it kind of works like a pop rivet. If you haven't used these before, they work just like a pop rivet. They expand inside the wall, but it leaves the majority of the material on the inside with, in this case, a 1/4 20 thread in it that I'm going to use to attach my cabinets. Easy breezy lemon squeezy. Starting to take place here. I've got most of the cabinets in. I still have one more to mount up, but I give a quick little peek and walk around. So I'm standing on what is going to be the bed. Here over my feet would be my view out the window. There's a door. Microwave, oven. Under that milk crate is the sink. More cabinets, and of course I have my little sofa for relaxing on, and off in the corner there I've got my shower. So anyway, all coming together. I'm kind of digging this. Look at this roof. It looks pretty wood-like. Today I'm tackling running some wire through my ceiling. So what I've done is I welded a 5/8 drill bit onto a 1/2 inch outside diameter piece of pipe. Thick wall, good and sturdy. I tried it with a smaller piece and it just snapped it like nobody's business. Anyway, this thing is about 4 feet long, maybe 5 feet long, but I was able to snake it where you see this fiberglass rod here sneaking up through the ceiling, and it's coming out inside that cabinet. And so I'm able to hopefully pull these wires through and finish wiring up my rooftop AC. I've also incorporated a second set of wires, so yeah, future reference, I'll already have some wires pulled up there that at the moment don't have a purpose, but I'm sure it'll find something to hook onto. Videotaping on myself while I'm trying to pull wires. Something's a little bit tricky, but nonetheless able to snake it on through just like that. So wires pulled through the ceiling. Nice. See, there was 4 different sets of aluminum ribs that I had to drill through, making it a little trickier, but we got it. Okay, back at it today. Today I'm working on important things, real important things, like mounting the flat screen TV. So got that on a swivel bracket so it can go flat against either wall or to 45 for optimal viewing pleasure. And today now I'm jumping back in and I'm working on my shower. So because there is no back wall and I can't really run plumbing through the walls, what I've done is I'm going to go inside of this cabinet and have my fittings coming in through the back side of the cabinet. And then in the shower, just mount the controls way up high, and the shower head's going to come right out there. So it's pretty close, but gives myself lots of room. And that way I can still hide the plumbing within the cabinet, so no exposed plumbing there. Anyway, that's my task for the day. Continuing on. First with the small one, then with the big drill bit. And there it is, the final version. Got my porthole window in, I've got my shower knob, my shower head. Just need to tidy up and finish off that vent. I ran some wires up there so I can put a light in and run the fan motor, but haven't finished running the switches and whatnot, so I'll get to that tomorrow. Bathroom ceiling fan in, installed, running, lights in, installed, running. So, for the most part, the bathroom is now complete. Probably run a bead of caulking around the bottom here, seal it all up, make it happy-dappy, but looking good. Happy with it. As I'm working on this project, I discover I've made quite a few, let's say, silly mistakes. It's in the order that you do things, and today I'm finding I have to kind of do a little bit of backpedal because I can't do A until you've done B, and you can't do B until you've done C, but sometimes you don't have the stuff to do B, so you do C anyway, and so on. So I did a little bit of backpedaling today, and now I'm going back to do the flooring. And so I've got some of the pergo style type floating floor, and I'm installing that today. I'll show you what that's looking like. So as you can see, it's going in. I kind of like the look of it. It's got a rusted saw-toothed, worn appearance to it, but that's by design. Anyway, I'm thinking it's looking good. And you can also see it somewhat matches my roof, bringing it all together. Well, spending oodles of time on a project like this, you know, I feel somehow compelled to do a public service announcement. So this is going to be mine. Before you ever tackle a project like this, people ask me all the time, well, how did you know how to do that? Well, I don't know how to do it. I'm making it up as I go along. But what you can do in advance is first go out and buy yourself some really good power tools. Don't skimp. Don't get the Harbor Freight stuff. You get stuff that you're going to be able to pass down to your grandchildren. I'm kind of really liking the Fuel series. I'm going to grab one here. Bend over. And anyway, for Milwaukee, the Fuel series, it's the, yeah, it's a brushless. They're as good as it gets. Got basically every tool known to man in the Fuel series, and with that, it makes life a lot easier. So here, let me turn the camera around. I know it's stuff bouncing all over the place, but jigsaw, bandsaw, hacksaw, down there's my skill saw, cordless drill, saws all over there. About every tool you can think of, and that truly makes it easier, especially if it's cordless and it's quality cordless. You don't have extension cords running all over the place. Gives you the ability to do a lot better quality work. And anyway, buy yourself good tools before you ever start. That's my public service announcement. Back to work. Like I said, buy quality, do yourself a favor, don't skimp. Big fan of the Milwaukee Fuel series. Worth every cent. Now that everything is fit, I'm just going ahead and doing a natural stain on all of my unfinished cabinets, and just using the Minwax here. Rub it on in, let this dry, and then do a clear coat on it. Once again, always kind of hard to do what I'm doing and videotaping at the same time. I'm working out in the yard. Got a beautiful shop, but the weather's been so great the last couple of days that I decided to do this build in the driveway. Anyhow, so a little clear on there, rub it with the grain, and call it good. Anyhow, cabinets come together. So I'm going to stain all of them as I fit them, and then I add the peripheral stuff into them, like switches, knobs, lights, displays, all that other good stuff being cut into it. Like on this one, that hole in the side, that is where my stereo is going to get mounted. So I'll show you that once it's up. Now today, being that I'm a slacker, I took yesterday off, so I had nothing to share. But today, I'm back at it. Now I've mounted my microwave in the side of my cabinet here. Refrigerator, like we said before, is going under the bed. So this is the framework, or the beginning of the framework for the bed. The high spots on either end here and both here, that's to keep the mattress from being able to slide out if I have to hit the brakes. You know, holds that whole mattress in place, which is a good thing. Anyhow, the refrigerator is under the bed, and this little lip that's here, this is going to be what the height of the bottom of the mattress. That's where it's going to be sitting at. So there it is. Oh yeah, I don't know if I pointed out, I do have my floor all in. Kind of working on some of the trim panels. So there's that. Kind of a gray, well, it's called gray oak. Looks pretty cool. I like it. Well, I'm back. So I've been gone for a few weeks, had a bunch of out-of-town gigs I need to address, and holy guacamole, I get back and no progress has been made on my project here because it's all on me. But I've been working on some things today. Let me turn this around. I've got my TV in and working. It's being powered here off my combinations of stereo, DVD player, CD player. It'll Bluetooth connect to my phone, all that other good stuff. So kind of one unit take care of all of my sound and watching needs. And of course, Home Depot, I went and got this nice little spigot here, and kind of digging that. And then lastly, I've been working on these little lights. Dig one out of the bag here. So they look kind of like this. Hard to once again video and tape myself, but these things were, found these on eBay. It's just kind of a little surface mount LED light. Simple installation. Just drill with a 2 1/16 inch hole. And mounted those under the cabinets. I'm kind of liking that. Just a little subtle light. So now here on my my kitchen area, it's illuminated and looking good. Everything else is starting to take shape. I'm doing a lot of the little wiring things like that. Just do a little pan around. Worked a little bit more on my bed area. You can see I've got the support frame around the edge, and getting ready to get that put into position. I don't want to put the plywood on top quite yet while I'm still running water and hoses. Down there in the corner, I have got my my 12 volt to AC inverter, and it's a sine wave inverter. You got a big old dog here that you can see a 3500 watt continuous or 7000 watts on surge. So that'll power everything I need to power. Got plenty of solar on the roof. I'm going to have a big bank of batteries inside here, as well as a generator mounted on the outside to keep my electrons flowing. Anyway, things are coming along here, and I thought I would share it with you. There you go. I'm out for today anyway. Continuing to move forward with the routing all the electrical. It's a slow, laborious process. You can see here I've got my little switch box. It's got a 12 volt and a USB outlet in it for just handy dandy stuff. I'm controlling all my house lights and things like that. Water pump will all be run through there. And here I have my inverter. Well, the control head for the inverter as well. I decided also I was going to put an absolute master disconnect. That's that red knob there. And so if anything at any time I'm stowing it away and I want to make sure everything is turned off, I can just flip that switch off, and that's a 50 amp switch, so it'll hold all the power that this thing's got to put out. So looking down through here, of course I don't have my countertop on there, but it's a cluster. I'll get a bunch of zip ties, get that all cleaned up, and then walk around the outside, stepping down off the steps here. Come around through my side box, and right now I'm just using a little power supply, that little black box there. It's just a 5 amp power supply that I'm using to simulate my batteries at the moment. Right here is a battery bank switch box. I've got a 110 outlet there. This is my sine wave inverter, all plumbed in and ready to go. And even off that little tiny power supply, I'm running the sine wave inverter and running my refrigerator and everything else. So everything I've got is kind of, we'll say, frugal as far as the use of power goes, and that's a good thing when you're in the back. So anyway, that is what I'm working on today, and I'll be moving forward with a lot of other parts. Now, if you remember back when I first installed the air conditioner, I said I ran a couple of extra wires, another wire pair, so I could use those for something later. Well, that something later is my roof lighting in the back half of this. You can see it's mounted there, and here I'm just pulling a wire through, and so I can tie it into those units. And all finished up, lights in place, lights off, lights on. And like I said, have more under the cabinets here to illuminate the sink area. Next job. Now, with the construction of this box, because of, it's foam core, 2 aluminum panels laminated between 2 inches of foam, running wiring through the wall has been kind of tricky, but, so I'll drill an access hole, punch a little snake through there to open up the foam enough that I can pass my cords through it. But then I end up with this ugly hole in the wall. Now this one's under the bed, but let me show you what I'm doing to kind of dress that up. First, of course, you can see I'm using some of this wire wrap just to kind of neaten it up a bit. And then I'm using just some of these wall outlet boxes put on backwards. So what I need to do is I need to open up these boxes to be able to pass the wires through them. So I'm just using one of these cone drills and open up a hole in one end. Not as big as the ones that you can buy with, but this one. And then I'm just going to take some cutters and open it up a little bit more so I can slide it right over my existing wires, and it kind of traps and holds that that wire wrap in place, and gives me the ability to then also take it off, do additional wiring or whatever it needs. But it's just a simple way to go. Let me show you what it looks like on the wall. Okay, got everything in place, pre-drilled some holes in there. Now I'm just gonna kind of force the wrap around on these wires, get them all perfect and into place. And to me, that looks pretty good. So, set those in place with my screws and call it good. And then finally, all in. So, my air conditioning and under cabinet lighting routed over, tying into my television, AV, good stuff like that. An additional 120 outlet. Then coming over here, and it's going into the home run from there. I'm back working on the trim between the wall and the roof, kind of that upper trim between my Fancy Dan wallpaper. So what I'm doing here, kind of notching out here a little bit around where my bathroom stall is, and on the other end, you see I had to kind of mill these, make the board a little narrower. And why? I'll show you those inside, but that's where, of course, the cabinets swing into the molding. I didn't have a lot of room, so I couldn't scoot them over at all, and I couldn't move them up or down, so I just trimmed out that. Now here, I'm putting these little button recessions in here so I can put those little wooden plugs in there, and I'll show you that when I get there. Okay, now adding a little stain on those, rub it in, get a nice kind of a distressed look gray. And the next thing I do is a little different. I'm going to add a little bit of gray spray paint and then wipe that off, give it even a more distressed look. But I can't do this with one hand, so I'll be back. That was it. And then countersunk some 1/2-inch holes, and then I'm finishing them off with these little wooden plugs to fill in the hole. And just like that, magic, it looks like it's supposed to be there. Alright, Brown Santa came today and he brought me my water heater. So now I've got some firm dimensions off it. I've gone ahead and marked it on the side of the box. So I'm going to be plopping that hole in there. And just as I did before, I started off with putting some radiuses on the corner, using a hole saw to punch those in, and then I'll follow that up with a saber saw. And literally less than 10 minutes later, it is in. So with that in, I've got some plumbing inside to do and probably jump back on the electrical for right now. Alright, so it's been a while since I kind of gave a complete recap of what's going on, and I thought I would give you a grand tour. So cabinets up, roof is up, I dropped the mattress and bedding in so you can see what that's looking like. There's that little green sofa that I've had in here all along. Running a little heater in here because it's kind of cold today. Anyhow, little video action happening. Anyway, turning around back towards the sink area, and there you have it. That is my progress so far. This is Christmas Day 2017. Feeling good about the progress. And anyway, back up one more time. Well, holy crap, it's been a while since I've been with you. On video it probably doesn't seem that long, but a lot has happened since then. I've raced the Baja 500. I've spent a full 3 months out on the trails doing off-road guiding and a bunch of other things like that. Spent a lot of time sleeping in the desert between now and then, but now I'm back at it. I'm working on the Unimog camper once again. So what I wanted to point out is here, this is how the stock bed mounts. So it's kind of like a ball and socket. I can show you up on this front socket better. So here's that same apparatus, and it sits on this ball here, and I have this one elevated on, and it comes down and you put a pin in it. That gives the ability to kind of move and float on here, and that's what I'm going to try to duplicate. So I'll show you what I'm doing now in the garage. Alright, so here you can see that's the stock piece, and I've unbolted it off the vehicle, and here I've bought some 1/4-inch wall, 3 1/8 inch pipe. Gives me the proper inside diameter here. Then as I started really taking a look at this one, I saw it had this, what I thought was like a cast iron seat that kind of ball sat on, kind of like a trailer hitch. But then I really started looking at it going, well, steel wouldn't make a lot of sense in there, so I stuck a magnet, and sure enough, I'm thinking it's probably Delrin. Well, I don't have any Delrin, but I do have some PVC. So what I've done is I've cut a piece out, and then I made a special bit that would give the same radius of the ball, and then I'm going to press this in, well, the other direction, before I start doing the rest of the machining. So that is going to be the little pad in which it sits on. Throw a little bit of grease on there, it's probably going to be super happy. Anyway, that's my next step here. So to do that, I've cut out additional discs. That was kind of my crash test dummy. Now I'm going to make 4 that are actually the correct size. So I've cut out some material. I've cut them on the hole saw, and then I'm going to spin them on the lathe, and then I'm going to put that same rounded bevel into it. That's my next step. So far, so good. And I'm going to call it quits right there. Back at it, day 2. So this is what I've got going today. I was working on the mounts yesterday, back at it. So I used the milling machine. I cut a hole, cut some slots, put the pinhole through, and then as well welded them to a 3/8 inch piece of plate. Now, based on my measurements, I have to stand these off by 1 inch and 3/8, so I'm going to add another inch worth of material. I'll probably just use some 1-inch box tubing for that. But anyway, I'm thinking there's going to be strong enough. The way I can build stuff, who knows? I don't have failures, but sometimes I look back after I'm done and say, wow, that was a big overkill, or I should have made it bigger or smaller or something. Anyhow, I'm going to go. Now, continuing on with the mount, what I've done is I've put some 3-inch square angle iron around the entire periphery of the box, but I need to figure out some way to go around these corner brackets. So I've made up some of these out of 3/16 plate. It's 3/16 angle iron, so I'm just sliding them over like this. Just like that completes the corner. I'm going to rosebud weld inside of these holes, and then a nice fillet there, and then buzz one along the corner, and the frame will be complete. And there's one welded in. All right, here we are in the middle of July. All kidding aside, it's 112 degrees. Sure, we picked a nice warm day to put the camper box onto the Unimog. Now you can see these are the couplers that we made. Little plastic insert on the inside to kind of be able to float around on there. Anyhow, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the box. Next thing you know, it's going to be going on. Of course, I won't be able to videotape and drop the box on at the same time, so next time you see it, it'll be on the truck. And finally, it is now officially sitting on the Unimog. Pretty stoked with this. Our mounts look like they worked out absolutely perfect. So what we did is we welded one in place to begin with, and so that we used that as the cornerstone for where the vehicle, or where the box was going to sit. The other three are just sitting here. So we'll go ahead and square them up, make them right, and then we'll go ahead and burn them in. So that way there was no possibility for misalignment between our 4 mounting sockets. So pretty stoked. Holy crap sticks, it's hot outside. I think it's what, 108 in the shop, and I'm running the air conditioning in the shop and still getting 108 degrees. But anyway, working on the truck. What have I got going? I've been replacing all of the old rivets, put new rivets in everywhere on the box. See, the old ones get stressed over the years, so I've been drilling them out, putting new ones in. Adding additional rivets along the periphery of my 3x3 box tubing I put on. Walk around the other side. Here, you can see I haven't done it yet. All the old epoxies, or old rivets, were covered with epoxy. And even as I'm just wire wheeling the epoxy off so I can paint this, the heads are just popping off. They're old and they're stressed, so I've been replacing them one at a time. So there it is, sitting on the Unimog. At last, it's now officially coupled on. All of my weld points are welded in, and it's official. It's on the truck. So only a few things left to do: body work, paint, a little finish up on the trim interior. Well, and today was a special day. Santa Claus and the big brown truck came and brought me my cassette toilet. So here I am, once again, throwing the 4 holes in the corner. Measured it all up, so hopefully everything lines on the inside. So this is going inside my shower enclosure. Going to be a cassette toilet. Kind of nice because, of course, you can pull your bucket of crap out from the outside of the vehicle instead of having to deal with it on the inside. So we'll see how this works out. So the installation of this vault toilet has been a little confusing. You put the door in, that's the inside seal of the door, and I end up with these voids here. Everything is as it's supposed to be. You can see it's perfectly flush and level on the bottom, but yet the toilet itself doesn't cover the whole extent of the door. So I'm kind of scratching my head thinking, what did I do wrong? But I'm not sure I've done anything wrong. That's why they. But this thing will be ready to roll down the highway. So I'm gonna get this good sealed up before I, close everything up. So therefore, if you're in there taking a shower, you're getting water through here. I don't want it to infiltrate into my insulation in the walls. But so I'll be dealing with that. What I'm doing here is I've taken a little piece of aluminum flashing and I've siliconed it into the face of the silicone, of the insulation, and that way any water that does permeate through here obviously has a harder time making it into my styrofoam insulation. I'm going to put another piece on the top and then pull the whole thing together and add another layer on the outside, and hopefully that'll seal it up good. Now, holy crap sticks, it's hot today. It's about 174 degrees in the shade, but it's not too hot to work. I'm out here and I'm laying down the primer. So it's raw aluminum. It takes a special zinc-based primer. So I bought the direct-to-metal aluminum primer, and I've been primering. I've got a couple of sides done now, but two down, 2 to go, and then this thing will be ready for some paint. After the paint, I've got an idea for some graphics. So I laid them out, threw them up on the computer, kind of overlaid them, used a little Photoshop trickery, and this is what they look like here. So if you check that out, that's what I'm hoping for. That will be the final product there, and we'll see how it goes. And presto, just like that, it is now painted. So, use the Mercedes-Benz paint. Looks like it matches pretty. All right, well, with the magic of video, just that quickly, there it is. It is now painted. Wrap around here to the other side, kind of get a glance at it. And through the magic of morphing, windows out and windows in. Well, as this build has been going along, this is a pretty exciting darn day. So I'm currently driving to Grand Junction, Colorado. This is the day that I go ahead and sit down with their artists and finalize the art design for the graphic wrap. I've shown you pictures of it in the past. Going to fine tune and put a little bit of my company logo on there. And anyway, kind of exciting time. Now I'm down at Platinum Signs in Grand Junction, Colorado. We're kind of finalizing the last bits and pieces of the graphics, and anyway, looking pretty good. Kind of excited to see it all come together. That's the machine's going to be spitting them out for us. That guy back there, he's going to be applying it. Anyway, next step. Getting close to the end here. Now I'm cutting out a stainless steel shield that will be going around the water tank. So I'm mounting that water tank up today, but I've got to protect it from the outside world. It is a plastic tank, so making a shield. Next piece of the puzzle is my water tank. So the sink, the shower, they've got to drain someplace. So I bought basically a plastic storage container and or water vessel, and then on the plasma cutter I cut out a housing for it, and then made a hanging bracket so it will be hanging right under the truck. Tapped into some pre-existing holes in the frame, got everything lined up before I ever started on it. And anyway, so plumbing, it had already had some holes, so I'm gonna go ahead and have my shower drain into this one, my sink drain into this one, and then also from this one I'm going to run a small riser as a vent out of there so it can flow a little easier. And then down below, once again, this is only gray water, so I've got I'm gonna put a spigot out here with a little hose barb on it, so if I need to run it into a sewer or into an RV dump site, I've got a way of attaching a hose to it. Anyway, that is it for me. Till the next piece. And there you see the tank is now mounted. So I made that bracketry, bolts to some existing holes in the frame there. Nice apron underneath. Had some stainless steel, some brushed stainless steel, so I cut that on the plasma cutter, wrapped around it. That just kind of helped prevent it from getting hit by, you know, rogue rocks or branches or anything else like that. I do have a very kind of a precarious spigot on the bottom for draining it, but plumbing through, got a little P-trap with a bottom drain on the P-trap, goes over and coming out through the floor under the shower, and on the other side, going through the top deck of the frame, there's a piece of flex hose, went through some existing holes over to the other side where then it picks up the drain for the sink. So we are all plumbed and ready to go. Time for a new chapter. All right, so I am moving along. Project is coming along quite well. Thanks for sticking with me this long, but you might have noticed I had put these like a trailer hitch receiver. There's one, two, three of those along the side of the box. And what are those for? Well, right now I've got my ladder tilted up against one just so I can get in and out. But the idea behind it, I'm going to build a patio that comes off the side of this. So it's going to hydraulically fold up against the side when you're in transit and you park it, push a button, and the whole thing will then fold down. It's going to be about 4 feet wide and run the length of the side of the truck. So that's what we're working on today. This is what it's looking like so far. So just one piece of 2x2 box tubing, kind of lay it out on the shop floor here. Some scraps I had left over from a previous little job I had done. Anyway, I've got the backbone of the structure put together here. I'm going to start welding it up. Well, with that going on in the shop, I'm going to take a quick break, run into the house, jump on eBay, and buy myself some actuators. Now, earlier I said hydraulic. I actually meant linear actuators, so I found them on eBay and purchased these guys right here. Also, found this nice ladder. I'm going to dissect it and use it for my stairs. Well, that's about enough clowning around on the internet. It's time to get back to work. So welded the cross braces in and got those all set up and squared up, and then it was back to the plasma cutter where I cut out all of the pieces to make my hinges. I looked around on the internet, couldn't find anything applicable, so I just kind of laid out and cut my own. Now, it doesn't cut quite as nicely as steel, leaves a little bit of a rough edge, so I needed to go back and absolutely clean them up. Now I've got the pieces that go into the receiver hitch times 3. So anyway, I just finished welded up those brackets I had made on the plasma cutter, cleaned them up on the milling machine, hit them on the belt sander, rebored the holes through them for a 5/8 bolt, and this is what they end up looking like. So there is our hinge. So 3 of these, they're going to go into those receivers, and that's what's going to put this onto the side of the camper. All right, just doing a test fit, making sure my center to center distances are correct. So the next step will be welding it up, but this is what it's going to be doing. Go ahead, Melissa. And it'll fold up against the side of the truck. Use of the linear actuators, but that's it for the moment. Next step is finishing up the welds, and then we're going to deck it. So I finished up those welds, and it is time to get busy on the decking. So I'm using some 1x4, some clear pine. I'm going to stain those up and start to lay them out. So here's a couple sitting there, and throw a little bit of a gap between them, make it look, well, kind of like a patio. So Santa Claus showed up today, brought me my linear actuators. So it's time for me to well, get off my butt and get back to work. So I'm laying them out, trying to make some dimensional measurements as to the pull and push lengths and all the geometry that goes in with it. And while I'm working on the brackets, I've got Melissa. She's Santa's favorite workshop elf. She's not only stained, but she's now throwing a clear coat on all of the decking boards. And this is what they're looking like. So, should look pretty cool when it's done. Thank you, Melissa. Using 2" by 2" box tubing, I'm going to make the actuator brackets onto the milling machine, cut them to size and clear them out. Then before I weld them on, double check those dimensions one more time. Now on the other half of the bracket, I'm going to do it something like this, but always measure it and then weld it. Now that I'm feeling confident about I have them in the right place, I went ahead and welded them. I'm going to drill the appropriate size hole here and then tap it into the back side. It's a 1/4" plate. It'll hold a little bit of thread. I may end up putting another tab under here to space it up and give myself a little bit more to tap into. Well, as you can see, I've gone ahead and added all the planking to it. That was a pretty good task all in itself, but I wanted it to be fully weighted before I went ahead and applied the actuator. So that is going to be the next task. All right, so I'm pretending I'm the actuators, but I'm not. But that is it, folded out. Holy crap. Getting close. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Next piece of this, I'm going to be making some rails that kind of, guardrails go around the outside of it, and then they'll fold flat onto the deck before you raise it. So that's going to be our little chilling spot. Are you videotaping? Because I'm looking really good right now. Got my best suit on. Alright, it is. Now with a little expert help from Melissa, the chief #1 helper, got to put some called quick fists that holds the bottom of the ladder in place, get that secure so it's not rattling as we're going down the trail. Holy crap, it's getting cold. Winter in Utah. Temperatures are dropping, but I've been out here in the shop working on the handrails. So these kind of fold up into position and, well, something like that. Little side pieces and come into play. And these are all fold up and stow down nice and to small. Just like that, we've got guardrails. So now if we're up here having cocktails, I don't have to worry about falling over. Now today's task was building a spare tire mount, and you can see I've got it all bolted on now. Just a couple of pieces of box tubing, some angle iron, a whole bunch of bolts. I picked up that 3,500 pound winch there at Harbor Freight, use it to load it up on there, and we should be all set and good to go. Good morning. This is such an exciting day for me. As you know, you've been coming along. Hopefully you've made it to this part of the video. I've been working on this project for now 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I got a couple more gray hairs and well, a few less hairs, but it's all been worth it. Now, I don't want to drag this out, but eventually, you know, with every project, you got to do that, oh, I'm done. Here, let me do a walk around and show you the completed version of it. Well, I decided to hang out until I was in a place where I could do that most effectively. If I rotate this around, you'll see. Yep, we're sitting here on the Gulf Coast. Early morning. It's kind of beautiful sitting out here with our camper build, and now I'm going to give you my walk around 360 inside and out. So come along. Patio has been deployed. Also there you can see our spare tire hanger that's running off of that 3,500 pound ATV winch. Simple and easy breezy. Our fold out ladder, fold out porch. Here we got our bicycles stored underneath them at the moment, but we've decided we're also going to be bringing along a second refrigerator. It's the deck refrigerator. That's the one that the cold beers sit in, so when we're out here lounging and looking out towards our magnificent view, we're going to have a cold beer or two or three. Because why? We have no place to go. We're sitting on the beach enjoying life. As we keep looking around, the side box there, that's the outside of the water heater. And over here behind the refrigerator, there's that second side box. That's the one that has the 4 AGM batteries, the inverter, the diesel heater, and access to the under the bed refrigerator. Moving around the back side there, once again, is the look at that spare tire. Right there is our water fill, 42 gallons times 2, so 84 gallons of fresh water accessible through this side door. The water pump and other things are hidden in there. And our wastewater tank on the side, and that second vault you see, that is for the cassette toilet. So this is what this side of it's looking like. Up on top you see the solar panels, 500 watts. All right, say good morning, Mel.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, is it okay if I take them inside, show them the rest of this place?
Go on and get it
done. All right,
done.
let's head on in. All right, now coming on inside. Seen little bits and pieces of it all along, but all right. Back here we have our, see if I can find my finger, there it is, our entertainment system. Got a TV back there, we've got air conditioning up on top, that recessed lighting that we talked about earlier. Windows are all in, looking good, I think. Bed, oh my god, super comfy. It's awesome. Inside this cabin here, I've got the inverter for the solar. Well, it might be difficult to see, but this is our solar controller. Right now we have 51 volts going in, 50 watts. I do have 500 watts for the solar on the roof right now, but even in these cloudy days, we're still making more than we're using, and that's the name of the game when it comes to solar. Back over here, the other half of our entertainment system. Down below, we've got our propane stove, got our sink. Down below the sink, we got the hot water heater that's also running off propane. Spinning around this side, we have our magnificent shower, and this is my favorite part of the whole build right here. And of course, we've got a cassette toilet that poop goes out the side instead of coming through the inside of the truck. We have lighting in the roof up here and an exhaust fan. And down below, we have our second refrigerator, and that little black thing you see there, that is the heat register for our diesel-fired heater. And we've stayed in here far below zero, and this stays toasty warm. the kitchen where Melissa makes all that magic happen. Coffee in the morning, gourmet by night. And on this bottom piece of the cabinet, we have our master 12-volt controller with all of the switches for their lights and our water pump and all that other good stuff here. Right here we have our controller for our AC inverter. Above that, that is our thermostat for our diesel powered heater. And way over here, this red knob, that will turn absolutely everything off. So if there's a problem, boom, you hit that switch, the whole system goes dead. And maybe the best part of all the electronics is hidden up here. Of course, we have our XM stereo. So we always have our tunes. Right now, we're listening to a little Kenny Chesney on the beach. It seemed appropriate. And that is pretty much the inside of our build. Oh yeah, here's one last look of our wood grain ceiling. Come along with me on the journey on that one, and it is looking awesome. So anyway, that's the inside.